Welcome back again. Another episode of the Big Brain MMA podcast. Nice round number, episode 90. I'm your host, Big Steve, like usual. Nice Singapore card, Saturday night for me in Australia, which is strange. But I'll have fun. I'll have fun breaking it down. I've got a special guest who's never been on before. Respectable guy. I'll get into him soon enough. I'll just do a quick little overview. I don't want to waste too much time today of last week's pay-per-view. We lost $1,000, which it is what it is. It's not even a unit. But I mean, the whole way through, started off with $1,000 loss on Moroz. I hated being on it, considering all of Twitter was on it. But I mean, I felt like, she could have some top time, and of course, tap with 1 second to go. So that was a bit unfortunate. I think that the fight would have played out close after that, but it is what it is. Had like $200 on round 3 in the Petrosky-Michał fight. I think, I was quite close there, but it is what it is. Passed on Gibson, ended up live betting Katona at dog money. That was a great fight. Passed on Kurt. That annoyed me a little bit. Favorite bet was Rodriguez under 1.5. I was annoyed I didn't smash that. I had a little in the parlay. With Barrett Tavares, that also hit. Chucked a little bit, $500 on Pedro Munoz by decision. And then I live bet Vera to basically lose nothing. No regret on either of those bets. Had $1,000 on Mario Bautista 1 takedown and Aljamain Sterling 1 takedown. I thought that was a lock. In hindsight, probably should have played Bailey Zhang there. So Mario Bautista took forever to get that takedown, which a bit overrated with his wrestling. And yeah, obviously Sterling didn't get anything. And then in my stupid little parlay that I was trying to pump up my takedown account with, I only had 1,500 left in there. Otherwise, I would have played all this other stuff. I had Weili Zhang inside the distance. So the Gregory Rodriguez under 2.5 and the Tavares hit, and then that didn't hit. So a little bit annoying. I was around even, and then I lost that $1,000 on Sterling not getting the takedown, which I thought was going to be the easiest bet. I thought, Bautista and him were both going to hit 1 takedown in the first round. So a little bit annoyed I passed on the under 4.5 there, which I taped first because of Pepe. And yeah, ended up playing the Zhang under 4.5. But yeah, I know a lot of people got killed. Can't complain, minimal loss. And then I made a bit on Fury. So Fury is becoming one of my favorite cards. But let's not take any longer. We've got some comments. David L., Akai Fueled Mountaineer. All right. It's a special guest, MMA Prediction Guru. Absolute legend. I respect his breakdowns. He's been doing this for like 5 years or so. I listened to his podcast ages ago, and then I got over it. And now I still listen to it because there's a lot of crappy podcasts out there. Especially the regionals. I really like his regional breakdowns. How are you, man? Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to be breaking down this card. This card is kind of like the flip for you, right? Like usually we got the fights in the afternoon, but now it's at 2 a.m. for the West Coast. So we're kind of feeling your pain for this card. But yeah, man, the card's pretty good, and excited to break it down for sure.
Easy peasy. Australia's actually pretty good, man. Like the standard card for you guys is like morning on the Sunday. So it's like a chill day. I wake up on Sunday. I don't do anything, just watch fights. But this is like Saturday night. So it'll be interesting. It's good watching fights at night, just stay at home and, I don't know, have some pizza or some shit. But anyway, yeah, good card, man. So first fight of the night. Let's get straight into it, shall we? Seung Choi versus Jarno Errens. A lot of line movement on this one. And I'll let you take it away since you're the special guest.
Yeah, this is a good fight to me. I feel like Seung Choi a couple years ago, he was like right there, like where he was close to the rankings, right? When he fought Caceres, and he almost knocked Caceres out and then ended up losing that fight. But now he's lost 3 in a row. He just got KO'd pretty bad by Trezano too, which I think was kind of alarming, especially if you watch like his couple of his other fights, like where he fought Josh Colabau. He got dropped a few times in that fight. And so I feel like this kind of make or break for him. He's getting a fight in Asia. And then Jarno Errens, he fought against William Gomez and had that split decision loss. But I feel like this fight, it's going to be, unless Choi, which I do think he could potentially try to grapple here because we've seen him more recently try to get guys down with the clinch and take their backs and stuff like that. But if it's just a stand-up fight, I think it'll be better for Errens because he's a Muay Thai fighter. And Errens, I don't think he's quite as skilled as Choi, but he has a big right hand, and I do think that at this point he's more durable and he brings that pressure. And I just don't trust Choi's chin, man. I feel like Trezano knocked him out in that's really worrisome to me. So I'm personally going with Errens. I picked Errens by KO. So earlier in the week, him by KO was at plus 900. So I bet some on that. Now that line went way down. So it's like plus 400 now. But yeah, I feel like there's potential for Errens to catch him and knock him out. I've seen him get some knockouts. I've seen him drop guys, and I don't really trust Choi's chin. So if this was a couple years ago, I think Choi would beat him. But I'm going to go with Errens here.
Yeah, nice. We're on the same side. I locked it in. It's a weird fight because, you know, even though I watched a lot of Errens, like he's got a lot of fights on YouTube, all in the regional European scene, I still felt like I needed to see more of him. You know, I don't know. He's getting grappled a lot. I wish there was like a 3-round striking fight or something where he doesn't get grappled so much, so I could see maybe how this fight would play out. But yeah, I played it at the early line, only half a unit because, you know, it's in Asia, and, you know, Choi. I've been playing a lot of these guys that are like on a 3-fight winning streak. You know, like Derek Lewis. I didn't play him, but, you know, this is another guy. People whose jobs are on the line and they seem to kind of get in shape and take the last fight seriously. I feel like Choi might do that. Plus, he's in Korea, and it could be, you know, I don't know. I'm still trying to get a read on Errens, but yeah, it's just Choi's not. He's never to be trusted with this line. I mean, he was $1.60 favorite over Trizano. He got knocked out. He could not stop a left hook to save his life. He's just all offense, no defense. He might be chinny, 0 IQ. You know, he hurt Caceres and then he went for a takedown. Just weird stuff. But yeah, I wish I saw more knockouts from Errens. I also saw that the right-handed that sparked someone on the regional scene. I think Koga's like got 30 wins. Is a reliable dude. And then I saw him hurt Gomes with the right hand as well. But yeah, I think, you know, I'm just playing the number here. I don't want to. Yes, you know, Choi will have the faster hands like he does against most people. He can probably go for takedowns. You know, he wrestled Zalal. But yeah, I mean, how is he going to cover this? I don't think Errens is really chinny per se. And, you know, if he does take Errens down, Errens actually has really good jiu-jitsu, even though he plays guard a bit too much. So, yeah, I play the number as well. Only half a unit, 700 to win like 1,000. And, yeah, hopefully this is not mush because, you know, the line's coming in quite a bit. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like you got it at plus 195.
No, not that much. Plus 170 without tape, and then I just gave it a plus 160 to the Discord because I thought it would move. You know, I don't want to give him like something that's going to move as soon as I play it. So, but even then, like this, I can't give a straight line, like a straight prediction on how he should be capped. But I feel like it could play as pick'em. So even then, there's a bit of value, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing that I think it's like I said, if it was Choi like before the Caceres fight, I feel like he'd be like maybe justified at that line. But I don't know. I feel like now he's taking a lot more damage. And Errens, he's kind of an unknown, like you said. But I do think it's like kind of a pick'em to me because of Choi's durability and just kind of his recent performances.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a step down, you know, from Caceres, who's ranked, and Koulibaly, I guess, and Trizano. Maybe not, man. All these guys are not that great. Trizano and, you know, Gavin Tucker. Even Suman Mokhtarian rocked him. And, you know, he was dominating that fight, but he's all aggression. But yeah, it's good, man. We agree. Let's move on. Alrighty.
Yeah, this next fight is best fight on the card, right?
main event of the evening, dude. So I taped this because, I have to tape every fight. I don't want to go on a podcast blind. And I thought I was going to be completely passing. You know, this under 2.5 seems to be a popular play because we all know what Na Liang does. She just flakes. And it's kind of like someone made a funny comment. It's like a really stoppable girl versus a girl that can't stop anyone. And it's like, how do you play it? And I thought I'd be passing, and because, you know, just JJ has sat in, you know, Demopoulos' guard, for example, who was gassed and didn't really do much. And but then you watch Na Liang, and you know, she just flakes, man. She just flakes. And JJ actually, you know, she hurt Demopoulos with a body kick in round 2, and she stunned a few girls with a nice 1-2 down a pipe. And, you know, if she just does that, maybe Liang will flake. You know, Demopoulos actually is very, very durable and extremely durable for a chick, even though she's extremely hittable, which Na Liang isn't. So this could be one of those ones. Maybe JJ knows she needs a finish. She knows she's getting a layup here. It's in Asia. You know, I think I'm looking at ways to play it because, but then again, I saw Na Liang actually has a decision loss to the Shafarova girl. She's got a bunch of finishes. You know, she's not a complete decision machine. I wonder how she didn't get finished by her. But yeah, obviously there's no chance in hell. Famous last words. I was going to say there's no chance in hell Liang wins this because her armbar technique is very overrated. I know people were steaming her against Juarez, and they thought she would get an armbar because Demopoulos got an armbar. And as a jits guy, I was like, man, that armbar is so sloppy. She's not getting Juarez with that armbar. Like, forget it. She will just dive on it and fall off the back. But so yeah, JJ finish is the same price as under 2.5. So I look to play that. I haven't played anything. Try to find a smart way to take advantage of a JJ finish. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like that's really the only way you could play it. I mean, I see some people betting like Liang in the first round, and I just don't get it. Like you said, like the jiu-jitsu isn't as good as people think. You know, she's got all these submissions over like real like low-level girls. But one thing I guess you could say is do you know what she's been doing this last year? Like since she got in the UFC, did she go to like UFC China PI or something? Like if she could maybe look better, but I don't know. There's not really any indication of that, you know, from her to like, and especially like as the fight goes on, I don't think it's hard to break that even if you like become skilled. Like I guess like Charles Oliveira, some people have kind of switched that narrative about themselves, but like, you know, when you're like a person that's like first round or bust, it's usually like hard to become a cardio girl, you know? So it's hard for me to see Liang do anything besides a first round finish. And I just don't see how she finishes Aldrich outside of like a complete fluke. But Aldrich, I feel like she looked really bad. Like that was probably the worst she ever looked against Lipski. So, I mean, I don't really like that. I don't really like her flying to Asia. So for me, it's kind of a pass. But if I did bet on it, I would say Aldrich inside the distance, to be honest. So it's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar to the 2.5, which is the only reason I'm talking about the 2.5. But the KO apparently is a little bit better. My friend just told me right before the podcast. So if you want to be a little bit frisky, play the KO and hope that JJ doesn't go for a sub because Liang has been subbed before.
Do you know like how many finishes does JJ have and what even are they? I don't
think she has any, man. Like I think she's got one over like a 1-1 earlier. Let me just check now. But I've looked at this before. Yeah, she has one over a 3-1 in Invicta back in the day. Oh, she's got two. No, wait, that was a loss. That was a really fake loss. Yeah, she's got one. She's got knees and punches. If she's going to get it, she's got two. If she's going to get it, it's probably going to be like a ground and pound finish because she gets her own takedowns. Yeah. She can easily take Na Liang down and ground and pound her out. But she actually has to throw ground and pound. I think she was playing a little bit safe versus Viana and Demopoulos, but I don't think in rounds 2 and 3 she doesn't have to play safe against because those armbars are going to be so sloppy by that point.
Yeah, I feel like that's it. Like JJ or pass inside the distance, but I do think it's kind of tricky though, just because, like I said, I feel like JJ looked bad against Lipski, and then she is traveling to Asia, which I don't think she's ever fought outside the U.S. But
yeah. I mean, Lipski's showed to be. That wasn't just JJ flaking, you know. She had a great performance against Gato as well. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Alrighty. Kinoshita versus Billy Goff. Very volatile fight, man. I see a lot of people on both. I take this first. I'm seeing the juice plays on Kinoshita. I'm seeing dog plays on Goff. I actually have a dog play on Goff, which I haven't told Discord or anyone because I just don't feel good about it, and I'll probably cash it out. I don't want to force anything. Yeah, I mean, Kinoshita seems like I'm pretty confident he's a lot more technical and the better classical boxer. Whereas Billy Goff, you know, everyone's mentioned it this week. He gets dropped by a lot of people. He gets dropped by people that are not good. He's, you know, even when he wrestles, he's a wrestler. He's a gritty wrestler. He's getting, you know, reversed and he's losing position. So the best way I'll describe him is green, but he's got a ton of heart. I'm impressed with his finishing instincts. You know, it's whether it's against the cage or on the ground, his ground and pound and his volume. He just knows how to finish you from anywhere. As soon as he sees a chink in the armor, I contemplated that under 2.5 a lot, and I ended up passing. You know, I don't want to say just because I saw Kinoshita look bad on the bottom of Fugit that he's like a flake because he does have good get-ups. this could be one of those ones where, you know, two well-matched young guys, they're both improved. You know, Kinoshita is at Killcliff. You know, I think it could be a war where he goes for decision, and it's been steamed even more now. So I reckon if I keep my Goff, he's probably going to get sparked early. If I'd rather play him by live bet, and if I play Kinoshita, he's probably just going to get taken down and flake again. So volatile fight. I'm just going to leave it and look to live bet, see how both these guys look in the UFC. What about you, mate?
Yeah, this one, it's a tough one, but I actually went on the other side. I'm going to lean with Kinoshita just because I feel like I like the fact that he went to Killcliff, and I think that if he can get the wrestling down, I think his striking is pretty high level for the division, and he's young, so I could see him improving. He just turned 23 like this week or last week. So Goff, I just think he gets hurt too much, and I don't really trust his, like you said, his grappling and wrestling. He has like good cardio, but it doesn't seem like he's the best yet at controlling positions or just doing the most damage until if he hurts somebody, he can do big damage and finish you. But it seems like when it's like open mat wrestling or stuff like that, he's not really the best at controlling people. And I feel like Kinoshita, if he can have his wrestling defense and his scrambles a little bit more on point with Killcliff, I think he'll probably find that finish. Goff, he's been close getting finished like 3 or 4 times. Even his last fight on the Contender Series, I mean, he got head kicked in like the first 10 seconds of the fight. So it's like, I don't know. I think Kinoshita can get him out of there in the first round, but if he can't, then I could see Goff taking over. So for me, I agree with the line where it's almost like a 50-50 fight, but slight lean with Kinoshita.
Yeah, I was on Goff there when all the money stopped coming in on the Israeli. He was just like, yeah, if he doesn't get finished, he's probably going to break the Israeli, which he did it in the same round. Like his finishing instincts are great, and that's the only reason I kind of considered him pre-flop. You know, Kinoshita might drop him, but then it's like he has to defend a lot of takedowns, and you know, there's talk that maybe he has bad grappling cardio because he kind of just folded very quickly against Fugit. But yeah, it's volatile. I'm definitely going to cash it out. So my dad here, who's cut about hiding, don't worry, Dad. I'm going to cash it out anyway, so don't stress.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Fugit fight too, though, you have to remember he did get dropped in that fight. So like,
yeah. I mean, Fugit's underrated. I'm definitely not. I'm not saying Kinoshita's a bum because of what Fugit did to him. Yeah, it's just the fight where I have a lot of questions. Alrighty, Kenan, Seung, Rolando, Bedoya. Another fight where Twitter is hammering Bedoya. Just a crazy line. I get it. He's more gritty. He's got more volume. He's probably got a better chin. He will mix in takedowns, which Kenan Seung has had issues with. But yeah, I mean, this line, man, this is typical recency bias on a guy that lost in his debut, and people thought he was worse than he was. I was telling people he's better than people think he is because he's scrappy, and now they're overrating him. Yeah, he probably wins, but it's probably going to be closer than this line indicates. And yeah, he's got all these advantages over Seung, but I'm not rushing to parlay him, coming off a loss in his debut. Maybe him by finish could be sneaky because or him by sub because he's got some subs on the regionals, and Seung is just a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, what do you reckon, then?
Yeah, I agree totally. I feel like the line is crazy. Like, I don't get how you could line Bedoya like that. He's beaten like nobody that good, but I do agree, like everything you said, like he's probably going to have the higher volume. He's definitely going to have the better cardio. Seung seems like he's like a first rounder bust type of guy, like in the UFC especially. He's gotten some knockouts though when he went to Asia, like he KO'd Bobby Nash and stuff like that. And I do feel like Bedoya, like the one thing that everyone was saying before the Chaos Williams fight was that his defense was so bad and that Chaos is going to knock him out easily. So when you're looking at Kenan Seung and, the one thing that he does well is catch people and can knock him out. Like he even dropped Ian Gary. I think it's kind of like a dog or pass almost, but everyone's going with Bedoya. But as a pick, I do agree. I feel like it's like if he can get out of the first round, he'll have way more volume. He's going to be the more active and longer guy, faster, and I think he can mix it up too. And I do agree. I don't know what the price is on the submission, but I think if he can get Seung tired, he could maybe submit him in the later rounds.
Yep. I'll have to look into it, man. Usually I rely on my guest, but let me let's suss it out while we're on while we're live, eh? Just see what the submission is. Do you think, are they released? Do you even know? They are. Here we go. Bedoya. Where the fuck are you, Bedoya? I agree with what you said about the hitability, man. Everyone thought he would get knocked out by Chaos because he actually got wobbled by some Peruvian bum on the regional scene, and now he's fighting a guy that can actually hit. It just seems like one of those ones, you know. If you're so hittable, then how can you play him at this juicy line?
There's a lot of these weird fights. Like I remember back in the day when who was the kickboxer, the guy that Dana White signed, and he beat he fought Warley Alves in his second fight. He beat Abdul Razak, Munir Laziz. So he beat Razak, and then he was like a -300 favorite against Warley, and Warley just beat him in like 30 seconds. You know, like it does seem like that, like where someone overperforms like in their debut and they still lose, they'll be like a big favorite in their second fight, and then they'll lose again. You know, a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, happens all the time, man. Bedoya by submission is +500.
Yeah, that's not bad, especially if, like what's like in the third round. I bet you it's like over +1,500 or something. Right?
Oh yeah, it's the round 1 is like $16, so round 3 is going to be astronomical. Yeah. Round 2, 3 could be good, man. So that's But sub in general is not bad because he literally has like 2 sub wins in his last 2 regional fights right before UFC. So
yeah, that's definitely not bad. Even Seung, like first round KO is not horrible to me. Like I don't think that's a horrible bet, but it's kind of like a shot in the dark type of bet.
Yeah, if you're confident he's going to be the first one to crack the chin, you know.
A
lot of the guys that Seung's KO'd with chin he has. Field Mountaineer giving me the sub, 5 minutes after we found it ourselves. Thank you very much, mate. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, this next fight's a pretty sick fight right here.
It is. I didn't think I would have a play on it because traditionally I can't really get a read on the pick'em fights unless I tape way too much, and I don't do that these days because I like to get in on the regionals. But I do have a take. I'll let you go first, man. Chidi and Njokuani versus Lord Michał. Go for it.
Yeah, this one's interesting to me because I feel like Michał, he's an underrated boxer for sure. Like I feel like a lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves because he's southpaw. I really like the way he'll mix up like his straights and overhands, kind of mixes the directions of his punches, and he'll mix in like a lot of body shots. So he's mixing it up quite a bit, and he's always on the front foot pressuring. And then you got Chidi, who's the longer guy. He might not be as high volume, but he's throwing those front kicks, those front knees up the middle, the straight punches, and trying to kind of catch you with like a 1-shot or 1-2 shot combination and put your lights out. And he has like 14 knockouts. Michał, I feel like his last fight, which I don't think Chidi or him are really going to look to grapple, but you could see that Michał is improving because I think his takedown defense looked a lot better against Barallo in his last fight, even though he did end up getting submitted in the second round. But yeah, this one I just feel like I'm going to go with Njokuani just because I think that he's going to catch Oleksiejczuk as he comes forward with something slick and knock him out. And I also think in the clinch, Njokuani's a beast and he could have a big advantage there. But I wouldn't be shocked if Michał could just overwhelm him early because I have seen Chidi rocked a few times. He's been knocked out 4 times, I think, even though a few of those were ground and pound losses. But I'm just going to go with Chidi to bounce back just because I think he could land the heavier shots, and I think he's kind of the more diverse striker. So even if you can't get him out of there, I think he'll be the one landing the more shots and the bigger shots.
Yep, I think your breakdown is the reason why some money has come in on Chidi. And yeah, I thought that would be the same thing. I definitely thought I wouldn't be playing Michał pre-tape because I know Chidi well. He can knock out anyone. It's pretty much a sniper, intercepting sniper guy versus just an erratic in and out. Not much regard for his defense kind of guy, high guard. And I left thinking if Oleg doesn't get sparked in the first, which I thought he was a pretty durable guy. After watching his debut against Khalil and eating a shit ton of damage and just not reacting whatsoever, just kind of running through Khalil. I thought he was extremely durable, but you see him kind of hurt, against Jacoby and who else hurt him? Someone wobbled him. Oh, Bukauskas kind of wobbled him a little bit. But it's like he's never really been knocked out. That's, at all. Oh, he has in when he was young in 2014. But I mean, how young would he be? 18 years old, So, like I said, Chidi can knock out anyone. But it's just like after I finished tape, I taped a lot of this fight. This is what I mean about pick 'em fights. I have to go into deep to get it. And I left thinking, Michał can win, can run through him in round one, right? That's what he does a lot. He's going to pressure from the get-go. There's a risk he might get clipped. Barral missed a few flying knees, and there's not many people that fight the same as Chidi on his record. Usually Jacoby kicks, but he didn't kick at all in that fight. And the one time he did, he got his kick caught and taken down. Michał does actually go for takedowns. He went for early round one against Khalil and round three. He took Jacoby down off that kick. He was trying to take Bukauskas down. So he'll mix it up. So he's got, if he doesn't get sparked early in the first round, he's got all the pressure. He could have a big round one himself. Rounds 2 or 3, I think he has the better cardio. He actually outvolumed Jacoby in round 3 himself. I used to think he has bad cardio too, but I've seen him, have good round 3 against Bukauskas and Jacoby. I think he's better at middleweight. I think he hits harder at middleweight. He's got the takedown upside, cardio upside. He's got his own KO power upside. And if he ends up on top, he's got brutal ground and pound. Like you said, most of Chidi's KO losses are ground and pound. He kind of flakes in there. He's dangerous early, and then if you keep coming, he just, he stops getting up. He's wiry early, very strong, good knees and elbows and stuff. So if he ends up there, I feel like Michał might take some punishment. So currently I'm flip-flopping between, maybe wait for Michał live after that first round is over, because he's going to be in there pressuring hard and might be eating a lot of knees and elbows. Or just play Michał, because honestly, like I just named, he's got so many advantages, man. He can go for a takedown. He can run through Chidi early. He can, out-cardio him rounds 2 and 3. But I feel like Chidi's path is just an intercepting knee or elbow when Michał's coming in. And then from then on out, it's like 3-4 ways that Michał can get the win. So I've changed my opinion after tape. I like the money's coming in on Chidi, and I'm just going to look, maybe even play a Michał and then just play round 1 Chidi, because I think that's his path here.
Yeah, one thing I will say, like on your side, is Chidi in his fight with Gregory, he totally gassed after that first round. Like he was dead after that round. So, but
that's I was on Chidi there, which is super annoying. And I have a thing with bloody doctor stoppages, man. Whenever I'm on the over, the doctor stops it. When I'm on the under or on my guy, he's got that worst cut in UFC history, and you can literally see a vein in his forehead, and I can split that vein, the guy's dead. He's like, just keep going, just keep an eye on it. It's just, I've got the worst luck with doctors, man. Even when Macy Barber, when she literally did her knee against Roxanne Modafferi, like the knee's done, ACL was done, and they're like, yeah, it seems it's clicking a little bit. It's an ACL, but she can still fight. I'm like, how can she fight with a torn ACL, dude? Like, worst luck. I can go on and on about it. But yeah, I was just trying to look at some over-unders. I'm pretty sure the over-unders are juiced, yeah. Yeah, it's not on Bet365. I just use Bet to look at my props. Yeah, it's definitely juiced. Maybe the under 1.5. But that Gregory fight, I watched it a million times, and I didn't want to watch it again. But what I saw in rounds 2 from Gregory, just bite down and come forward. That's what Michał's going to do from round 1. So
yeah, the under 2.5 is minus 245 on Bet Online.
Yeah, I'd rather play 1 to 1.5. Both considering how many round 1 KOs both these guys have.
Yeah, on both, they got Bovada at 1.5 on Bovada. Under is minus 125.
Oh, that's still minus money, man. It's still pretty average. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Toshiomi Kazama versus Garrett Armfield. I know guys on both sides of this fight, and I get it. I pretty much left thinking pass, because I think Garrett's pretty underrated. He's 26 years old. He's a really decent. He's an underrated pressure boxer. He's got some good power, man. He's he's hurting a lot of people, dropping a lot of people. He's got a couple of round 1 KO losses. And Kazama, he's a bit of a mystery to me. First fight in 2020. He's a jits guy, a gi jits guy as well. You can see it in his style. I love his style, man. As a jits guy, you don't see that style. He just hangs on to you. It's not even judo throws. It's like jiu-jitsu trips and stuff, and hangs on to you. Grabs the tricep. And just looks to kind of like wear on you and get your back and trip you and pull guard. And then his sweeps are like single leg X's. Like not even, you don't see that in MMA. No one goes for a single leg X sweep. He's just comfortable to do it with no lapel grips and no gi grips. And he just works. And, if Garrett, I can see a path for him if Garrett, goes for like wrestling here and maybe gets swept, and they're just going back and forth and reversing each other. And I think Kazama has all the finishing upside with the subs. I can definitely see a path, but it's just, he's been sparked clean in both his losses. The Nakamura one I don't really care about. Happens. But, he's 20, he's 26. These guys that have only started doing MMA, for 3 years, I expect a lot of improvement from him, no matter what gym he's at. I haven't really seen much striking from him. I've seen that he's confident striking against Nakamura. I don't know what I'm going to see. He's in his home continent. Armfield is flying over. No way I can play him as a juiced favorite, but I think he's live to, outstrike Kazama before the takedown. Maybe stay safe on top, but if the fight gets extended, I think he can get a little bit sweaty. Kazama can come on strong. But he slowed down a little bit in his decision fight on road as well in round 3. He started to pull guard more. His sweeps were coming less. But he's still 30-27, the good dude. So, yeah, I've got some questions, man. I definitely don't want to be laying juice on Armfield, even though he can cover this line. Yeah, it's a pass fight for me. I think live bet will be good here.
Yeah, like you were saying, I like Armfield's boxing for sure. Like, I feel like he does a good job, just like Oleksiejczuk. Like, he really attacks the body well. And I could see that, maybe affecting Kazama's entries, try to get the takedowns and stuff like that. But the one, like you said, with Kazama, it's like he has like a straight jiu-jitsu style. Like when he fought that guy on Contender Series, there was like no strikes in that fight. It was like even in the clinch, there was no strikes at all. It was kind of crazy. But like, with Armfield, I think Killcliff, they're going to be able to like mix in the strikes in the clinch. And I could see that being the difference unless we see Kazama ended up getting that submission. I feel like Kazama's still too green on the feet. I think Armfield will eat him up with the boxing. And but if it becomes a grappling match, I do think there's a big chance early that Kazama could get that submission. But I've seen Armfield too. Like he has good wrestling. He could scramble well. Good top control. I like his head positioning on top. But I just don't trust Kazama to get that sub early. I saw like in the third round of his fight on the Contender Series, like you're saying, he did get held down for like 3 minutes of that round. So I think that Armfield could get that early knockout. Like I think a first round knockout for Armfield isn't a bad play, honestly, because I think he has power. And he's going to be a lot slicker than Kazama. And Kazama's really reckless, man. I mean, his pressure is really good, but the way he comes forward, like there's no feints really, and it's just head first. But if Armfield can't get him out of there early and it becomes a grappling match, he could get submitted. But I feel like Armfield's more well-rounded and just been doing MMA longer. His wrestling is a lot better. So I'm going to say Armfield wins this fight.
Yep. I agree with everything you said, man. Everything you said. I mean, this could be like the Vogel fight, right? Vogel's fighting on Contender Series this week. He lit him up, busted him up, almost knocked him out. And then, Vogel just kept coming forward, wanting to wrestle, wanting to grapple, and just scored an opportunistic rear naked choke. I can see that here, man. It's just, who knows, maybe he slows down from traveling. I've watched another podcast today, and they said how horrible it is cutting weight in Asia. The water, you don't even have good water for cutting weight. You can't even buy like liters and liters of water. Like they only sell like sparkling water and stuff. It's just like pain in the ass compared to America. Yeah. So, a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions. And I also can't play Kazama from what you mentioned, like super open, and hopefully he's improved his striking a bit. He seemed confident with it against Nakamura. Maybe that's a sign that, hey, I've been working on my striking. I can brawl with you, but who knows? Maybe the under is a good option here, but probably not. Alrighty, let's move on to another main event. There's multiple main events on this card. Waldo Acosta versus Łukasz Brzeski. I'll save some time on my end, man. I'm only just looking at Acosta by KO here. And after tape, I kind of left thinking maybe Brzeski's not as chinny as I remember. I seen him get sparked on some regional tape, which is why I liked it. I think I was hoping for a better line after, not knocking out Sherman and Bandera and Lima. I think this could be the spot here because he carries his power late. He's got a third round KO over Pedersen, who's also on Contender Series. I love it when fights crisscross for tape. I'm just looking at the KO here. I'm not interested in Brzeski, whose path is a split decision, like always. So
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, I'll keep this one short. Like, I feel like Cortes-Acosta, like, all he really is good at right now is boxing. But with Brzeski, he's just a boxer too, really. I mean, that's all he likes to do, high volume. And I just feel like Cortes-Acosta is a better boxer, more explosive. And the money line, I don't know if you could really bet that. Like, it's kind of like, useless. But him by KO, it's probably not a bad bet, honestly, because I think it's going to be a boxing fight, like type of fight that Acosta wants. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. We're on the same page. There was a lot of people playing Williams a decision against Brzeski, and I couldn't play him because of this. What I saw in his regionals, and he almost knocked him out, man. When has Williams ever been close to knocking anyone out? So,
Yeah.
But that recovery is what impressed me. But I think Waldo hits harder than him, man. Alrighty, another fight that's pretty damn similar, I would say. Junior Tafa versus Parker Porter. I regret passing on that early line. I think they were close to pick him on Bet Online. And just the weird matchmaking. It's like I felt like they set up Parker with Tafa in Australia, and it went exactly as they wanted it to go. And now they set him up with Braxton, which is weird. And then they're like, all right, the other Tafa needs a win too, so we'll call Parker. And it just feels like another setup fight. It's like, and the man is just accepting it. He doesn't give a shit. But yeah, I think what it comes down to, I lost a bit of money on Tafa KO versus the horrible Usman. There was no way I was going to lay his money line, but I just thought, I know Tafa well. He's obviously from my regional scene, and he doesn't have one punch KO power, right? I don't think his brother does either. I think when his brother fights patiently, like he did against Porter, he was able to snipe him with a good counter left. And it's the same for Junior as well. Junior doesn't have one punch KO power. When he's very patient, I was surprised that he knocked out Toshiomi Sudario. You know him from Ryzen, the sumo wrestler that doesn't fight anything like a sumo wrestler. He brawls, and he picked his shots well, and he knocked out Sudario. And I was like, man, maybe he does have power. But he was picking his shots right. It took him like 4, 5, 6 lands to actually KO him. And when he doesn't fight like that, he was just super sloppy against Usman. He just kept missing, and he still rocked him, but he kept missing. He didn't have the composure to finish him. Maybe 1 or 2 more punches would have been enough. And we've seen the same with Kike Brito against Oban Elliott. It just hurts him. He's usually very patient, and he snipes. He has a good jab, and he just falls like a retard on Contender Series. Just winging from the first second. And you can just see when a fighter's going to lose when they start fighting like that. I think this is like a bounce back spot for him. I think it's good that he had that first L. And he probably realizes now, all right, I got to be more patient. I got to pick my shots better. And unfortunately, I think Parker is going to be the recipient of that adjustment, just like his brother knocked him out. And I think Parker, as bad as Usman is, I think Parker is less athletic. His wrestling's always been bad. It's I think this is going to look like the Bedoya fight. Bedoya was good enough. He was so much more athletic and powerful and had the better boxing, and he was lighting up Porter. And when Porter took him down, he just didn't have any danger on top. And he's not as heavy on top either as Usman. Usman is a blanket, but he's quite heavy on top. You've seen it on the regional scene. So I think, yeah, Tafa's going to preserve his energy a bit more. He's not going to gas. He's probably going to get up. He's going to stuff the first few takedowns like he did against Usman. And he's probably going to look like a decent favorite, which is where the line is at now. So I don't know if I want to force it. I'll probably go back to the well with the KO. But the under 1.5 is a pick'em, which kind of has my interest. But yeah, I'll hate it if I don't think Parker is as chinny. A lot of people are saying, oh, Parker's been knocked out so many times, but when you watch his fights, he hits a lot of shots and he seems quite durable. So yeah, I'm contemplating Tafa by KO again. Will I lose money on him 2 fights in a row? We'll see. But yeah, nothing as of yet. What about you?
Yeah, this is just like a pass fight for me. I feel like I agree with what you said. Essentially, I feel like Tafa, if he just stays patient, picks his shots, he's probably going to find the knockout. I don't really rate Porter's wrestling. And like you said, Usman, he might not even be as good of a wrestler technically per se as Porter, but he's more explosive. He can close that distance faster. And when he gets on top, he has better top control, I feel like. But Porter, I mean, he has that path to victory if he could just, withstand that first round and Tafa goes for the knockout again, is not patient, and he just holds him against the cage. But I don't think Tafa will let that happen 2 times in a row, hopefully. Even though he only has 5 fights, he does have a lot of experience in other sports. So I'll actually say Tafa gets a knockout in the first round, but I'm not really too interested in the fight, honestly.
Yeah, the odds are pretty crap. But who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe I come around to it. Alrighty, we are making some good headway. This is the second fight of the main card. Probably one of the best fights on the card. It's got a lot of importance, if that's a word. But I'm gonna go through the comments because I've been neglecting him. What do we got? Jarno, he's in the Discord, one of the Aussies. There's not many Australians. When I started this, man, there was no MMA markets on the best bookie in Australia. Can you believe that? And I had to use some other one. And then when they opened it up, there was no parlays or props. So the bookies have come a long way. So it's good to have an Aussie in the Discord. Chaos looks average when he doesn't finish. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's that fight wasn't really surprising. As soon as he couldn't knock out Bedoya, which I could see the same thing here. Maybe if Seung can't knock him out, he's going to look average, but it still could be a split decision, right? Like Chaos is gassy, and so it's like, right. Chidi looked underwhelming versus Derived. That was one of my reasons. He's got a slim path here. Ole late finish or decision. I reckon he can do it early. Here we go. Garrett moved from Killcliff to Marathon MMA with Troy Ogden. This is a massive red flag. I don't know why he did that, and then there's another red flag on Kazama. Also said he was retiring after he got smoked on Road to FC. Who the hell knows, man? John again under 1.5 on the Tafa one. Yeah, it's quite generous actually. Could turn into a sloppy fight with the big boys. Yeah, that's the thing. I think Tafa's going to be a lot more patient in this one. Every time he was super aggressive, he fought another bum in New Zealand, and that went to round 3, and he got hurt by that bum as well, and then eventually knocked him out. But whenever he's too sloppy, he doesn't get the KO. So hopefully he's more patient. Alrighty, great fight, man. Erin Blanchfield, Taila Santos, line going up and down. I see a lot of people saying this is a pass fight, which got me excited. I only taped 2 fights of each, and I'm definitely going to do more tape, and I think I'm going to have a play here, but I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, man, honestly, I feel like this should be the co-main event. I think this is like 2 of the top 15 pound-for-pound female fighters probably in the world. So it's a good fight, and it's a good matchup, too, because it's 2 girls that primarily like to grapple. And I was impressed with Blanchfield's improvements on the feet, though. I mean, you watch her fight JJ Aldrich, and you see her striking there, and then you see her striking against Jessica Andrade, and I feel like she's just a lot more comfortable on the feet. She's gotten a lot better with her lead hand, landing strikes with their lead hand, using her length. And Taila, I do think, is a little susceptible to that lead left hook, check hooks, to jabs. But with Santos, she's going to be the more powerful striker. She's going to bring that Muay Thai style with the leg kicks, with the jab, with the 1-2s. But she's a little low volume, and mainly Taila, the way that she's won in the UFC is using that clinch, being super strong and just kind of bullying girls and using that top control. She isn't really a big finisher on the ground, but she has really good back takes, and she did submit Joanne Wood, even though JoJo has gotten submitted quite a few times in the UFC. And then Blanchfield, I do think in terms of grappling, she is going to be the better grappler. Like, she's going to have that higher submission upside, I think. We have seen Santos threatened in a few different fights with some arm bars and things like that, like in her fight with Jillian Robertson. And I do think that Blanchfield has pretty good jiu-jitsu even off her back. If you watch her fight with Tracy Cortez, she was throwing up quite a few submissions in that fight. And that fight was when Blanchfield was like 18 or 19 years old. So that was a much different version of her. But yeah, I feel like Santos, it's hard for me to know exactly how she's going to look here. She hasn't fought in like a year and a half. She's coming off that orbital surgery, but she has been training like this whole year because they were supposed to fight in February, and it was visa issues that took Santos out of that fight. So she has, unless she stopped training, she's at least been in the gym and working this whole year for a fight. And Blanchfield, she kind of hasn't fought the best opponents besides Andrade, but I feel like Blanchfield on the feet is just going to be a little more active, and then she has the higher finishing upside on the ground. It's just if Santos is going to be able to stall her out with the top positioning. But I'm going to go with Blanchfield. But yeah, to me, you said a lot of people said it's a pass fight. For me, it's kind of a pass. But since you have a side that you're leaning towards, I'm curious to see who you're going to lean towards.
So it's not 100%. So obviously 2 fights each. I like to do a lot more tape on fights like this, where I think that no one has an opinion. So I always feel like I could find an opinion, especially when Twitter doesn't talk about it. I get excited. I'm like, all right, there's gonna be a hidden gem here. And I left thinking, man, I think Santos is the side of these odds. I think she can. She reminds me a little bit of Aljo, right? With obviously a lot better striking. I think she could Aljo Erin here, at least early, right? So, I watched the fight with Joanne Wood, and very competitive on the feet. Joanne Wood is good at racking up the volume, and Santos had great distance management. I agree that she does have low volume, but it's because her distance management is so good. She's keeping fights competitive, right? And then obviously she dropped her multiple times, so she has the power advantage, that's for sure. And then she's a backpacker, kind of like Aljo, and she just kind of sits there, even if she doesn't finish Erin. She's very physical. She's taking girls, she's mauling her. I'm impressed. You mentioned Robertson. I mean, Robertson, I think, is one of the better guards in the UFC, and she was fine just smashing her for 3 rounds and never being in any immediate danger. So her submission defense holds up, in my opinion. And then I watched the Valentina Shevchenko fight, and I'll admit I only got up to round 3. Obviously after rounds 4 and 5 is where she kind of gassed and had her orbital broken. But even then, what Shevchenko does in round 1 is in those fights is she has very good distance management. No one can land anything on her. She blitzes and steals rounds, and then she gets a takedown, right? And Taila Santos' distance management was so good. She kept moving just out of the way of the spinning back fist and the blitzes. And then, she got her takedown. So she was doing what Valentina does and being competitive with it on the feet. So on the other side, I get why everyone likes Erin. She's a crazy chick. She goes into the pocket with Andrade and just brawls with her, eats a bunch of bombs, and tells the corner, she hits so hard, but she doesn't even get dropped, and she just eats them on the chin. So she's very durable, but she does have issues with that the striking defense. We've seen it against JJ. JJ was kind of landing pretty significant 1-2s, and he was making, and also took her down with ease twice. And that trip takedown she landed on in round 2 is the exact same takedown that Santos landed on Valentina. A lot of people saying, oh, Valentina did retarded stuff and kept trying to sacrifice throw. She did in round 1, but in round 2, Taila pushed her up against the cage and tripped her like fair and square, and then she sat in her guard. So she can definitely take Erin down. Erin does have good get-ups, but she does give her back up, and Taila has got a bit of Aljo backpack about her. If she gets backpack for round 1, maybe backpack rounds 2. Is Erin striking going to work when she comes into pocket with Talia's good counter ability and distance management? She's going to move out of the way, and then she's going to counter her. She's going to crack her like JJ. JJ literally slipped and gave up that guillotine. Even if that happens to Taila, she's going to defend it. She's not going to get fucking guillotined like that by Erin. Maybe she will. Who knows? Maybe Erin is a whole new level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I don't think so from tape. I mean, I think Talia is for real as well. So yeah, I mean, a lot more fights left to go, for sure. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything just yet, but I just think definitely, for sure, there's no way I can play Erin when she's going to be losing a round or 2 minimum. She's not going to cover this line. But I think she is going to come on strong. Like, her cardio is elite, the volume is elite. So she kind of reminds me of Billy Q, right? A bit of adversity early, a bit of hillable, taken downable, made that word up as well, and then. She's going to keep coming, and then Talia is probably going to slow down a bit from the constant pressure. If she can't hold her down, if she can't backpack her, because Erin does have good get-ups. So I'd rather just live bet Erin, just see how she goes. But yeah, I mean, for everything that I've seen on tape, is Talia's going to have success, man. There's no way I can play the juice here. And I mean, look at Andrade. I played the favorite line there like an idiot. I thought there's no way Erin's going to take those shots, and she proved to have an iron chin. But look at Andrade now, man, just flaking against every single fighter after that. Round 1 KO, 1-punch KO. She used to be insanely durable. It's just everything's a finish against Andrade now. So, yeah, I do have $200 on Erin to be a champion by the end of the year, which I thought was completely dead when they were talking about her fighting a bantamweight against Juliana Pena, and there was no title fight booked. But hey, maybe if Grasso wins. And maybe if Erin wins this fight, there could be a quick turnaround by the end of the year. Who knows? It's not over yet. But, yeah, dog or pass for me, man. I'm excited to look into this one. And I'll definitely find a way to play it. Maybe Santos pre and then look to live bet Erin. Or maybe I just wait and live bet Erin for a big bomb after tape.
No, yeah, you made some great points, man. I liked your breakdown. And like I said, if, I'm just a little bit. I don't like that Santos hasn't fought in like a year and a half. Like that's one of the reasons why I picked Blanchfield too. Like, but hopefully she comes back fine. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I've been steering quite high into that volatility recently. You know, people avoiding guys that have been out for 3 years, or like Marcus McGee and Trey Waters. You know, just fought 5 days ago, and they're like, oh, no, it's too short notice. Like that volatility is what gives us a good line, and it ends up being, you know, I've been completely ignoring it, and I almost did it with Blackshear, and look at that, you know, all the narrative about him cutting weight twice, and the guy almost beat Batista. I know you were probably on that play. I was close. I was this close, but I thought he might be a slight value loser. I think that's why we're getting this line as well. You know, she hasn't fought in a while, so it's been ignoring the narrative has been good, but who knows? Maybe the dog line gets a bit bigger. Although it's been like every time money comes in on Erin, it's evened out. You know, money came in on Santos, so we'll see, man. Great fight.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably the best fight besides like the Valentina versus Alexa. It's like probably the best fight you could make for that division or one of them.
Yeah, I mean, whoever wins this, clear title shot, right? I think these girls are like top 3.
Yeah.
Top 4. I reckon it's the 2 girls fighting, Grasso, Shevchenko, and then these girls are 3 and 4. So perfect fight. And then hopefully, you know, if I'm gonna bet Santos and she loses, hopefully Erin goes out and cashes my champion ticket.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Rinya Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia. Yeah, we all know what they're doing with Fernie. I faded Fernie against Jeremy Newsom. I faded him against High Steed. I just have to see, you know, if I'm going to play the unders. Money's coming in on the over. Figure out how I'm going to play this fight. I haven't taped too much into Rinya other than his 2 quick finishes on Road to FC. I know Fernie got rocked by Newsom by a spinning back kick to the face. That's a red flag. But yeah, I don't have much to add. I have to look into this squash match if there's an interesting play. What about you, man?
Yeah, like you said, it's basically a squash match. I did watch a couple of Nakamura's other fights. Like I watched his fight that went to decision, and in a lot of his fights, like most of them, he's like super aggressive. And for whatever reason in that fight, he just like held the guy down and didn't do anything. I don't know why, but you look at most of his fights, it's like he tries to go out there and get the job done in the first round. Like that last fight we were talking about when he fought Kazama. I mean, these guys just went in the middle and just started swinging in the first 10 seconds, and he got a knockout, in like 25 seconds or something like that. But Nakamura is like a high-level amateur wrestler, and obviously we saw Brady Highstand just out-wrestle Fernie. So I think if Nakamura wants to wrestle him, he could wrestle him. And if he wants to get in the pocket too and just try to knock him out, I think that he could do that too, because Garcia only has 1 KO in his whole career. So it's like you could say Nakamura's striking is a little reckless, but I don't think Garcia has that power to really make him pay for being careless in the striking. And I think Nakamura is the one that has all the explosiveness and knockout upside. You know, like you said, he got rocked by Jeremy Newsom, who's not really a great fighter. So I feel like, I don't know. What are the prices? Do you know the prices for the over and the under?
Like I said, the under 1.5. A few people asked me on the Discord. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but yeah, I got a like insane under record, and I thought it would get steamed, but money's coming in on the over. So it's $1.62, which I wish I could tell you what that is in American odds, but it's 12 cents away from minus 200, and in the under 2.5 is $1.30. It's quite steamed, juicy as. Same as Nakamura's inside the distance. So like I said, I'll just have to see if I want to play. Round 1 is plus money exactly for Nakamura. So there'll be ways. I might have to. Maybe I'll make an educated decision on maybe Nakamura sub, right? Because a lot of people think the KO is favored because obviously he's been sparking fools. But man, if Fernie has issues with takedown defense. If he's gonna get taken down here, maybe a sub is live and it's paying better. So yeah. There'll be ways.
One thing I will say is I know on Bet Online right now, him to win in round 1 is minus 180. So if you got even money, you got a pretty good edge on there.
Yeah, it's on Bet365. Bet365 always lags a little bit, and then when I play it, they just move it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I still want to play that line. You know, barely plus money. Well, who knows? Fernie's pretty durable.
Yeah, I think he only he only got finished once, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's also fought nobodies on the LFA circuit. Cool. Giga Chikadze versus Alec Caceres. I think this is definitely a dog or pass, man. It's just how much risk tolerance do you have to play Caceres here, because he's going to be at a explosive striking disadvantage. But we've seen this fight so many times. Go back to Guang Wang. I don't know if you remember Guang Wang, the Tibet Tiger. 22-1, kicked the shit out of him, and then retired. That guy would have been amazing. I don't know what happened to him. But, that went to split too. Even though it wasn't a split, it was a clear 29-28, just because Caceres was, durable and in there still fighting for your money. And, we've seen this fight with Julian Erosa, who's a little bit chinny, with Seung Choi. He's fought a lot of kickboxers, Sadiq Yusuf. And, he keeps it competitive. He takes one round. He's there. He's not easy to finish. He's kind of has underrated striking, and he's sneaky with his jiu-jitsu, even though his wrestling's not the best. So Giga is always a fade for me. He's been getting lucky wins, splits in the first few, and then kind of leveled up a little bit, kicked the crap out of Omar Morales. And then, from then on, Jamie Simmons, Cub Swanson, who I think would have been a lot more competitive if not for that early kill shot. Edson Barbosa, which was an amazing matchup for him, right? He's a world-class kickboxer, and he's really good defensively. So, he was checking all the kicks. And then at that point, if Barbosa can't, dominate you with kicks, he just doesn't have much. He doesn't have the grappling to, and, eventually, and it was a slower-paced fight, so Giga didn't really gas. And then, I played him against Qatar and just hammered that live bet. After the first takedown, I hammered a live bet. And then round 2, when he was kicking the shit out of Qatar, I hammered another live bet. So, yeah, he's had all these injuries. He's had all these surgeries. He's flying out to Singapore, where Caceres always loves fighting in Asia for some reason. He embodies all that traditional martial arts lingo and whatnot. Yeah, it's just, how much of a risk tolerance do you have to Caceres? Because you're probably going to drop the first round bad from all the body kicks, and probably going to get dropped. He's going to be at a big speed disadvantage. But, I think Sadiq Yusuf was a much tougher matchup. Sadiq was actually grappling him, and he shot him down with a calf kick, and he still had a competitive 29-28. There's no grappling in this fight, so I haven't pulled the trigger. Maybe I just live bet Caceres. Maybe I see how Giga looks after a long layoff. Maybe he's blowing heavy again. Maybe he's patient and he can just kind of outstrike Caceres for 3 rounds to a competitive decision. But yeah, it's easy dog or pass for me, man. What about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like Giga, I don't know how anyone could feel confident betting him at like over 2-1 when he hasn't fought in so long. He's had all those injuries and, like you said, a couple surgeries. He's older too. He already had a full career in kickboxing before he even came over to MMA. But Caceres, it's like, even though he's been on that great run recently, he's been beating all these kind of guys outside the top 15. No one has really, gave him that respect yet. And he still has to, if he could win this fight, I think he'll probably get like a top 10 fight, and then he'll be time to fade Caceres again type thing. But with this fight, man, it's like you said, Giga in the first round, I think is going to be really dominant. I think he could, maybe catch him and knock him down. But we've seen Caceres only get knocked out one time in his whole career. It was in like 25 seconds at bantamweight. And I feel like if he can extend the fight, it turns much closer to like a 50-50 fight in that second and third round. And Caceres, we have seen him hit those back takes and get a couple rear naked chokes, but seems like he really relies on guys overextending and getting out of position to actually get the takedowns. So I don't know if that's going to really come to fruition unless he is going to come in here with a different game plan. It's probably just going to be that point style striking fight that Caceres likes to fight. And I don't know. I think a draw could even be a sneaky play too. Just if Giga beats the shit out of him in the first round, maybe Caceres could win the second and third. But yeah, I think it's a dog or pass on the line.
Yeah, it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight because Caceres, you never know what he's going to do. And he's so opportunistic with his grappling. He did, right after he got out of that deep armbar against Pineda, he heavily grappled, which is weird. It's like, so if he grappled there against the really high-level black belt that almost submitted him, I'm sure he's going to grapple here, right? It was a bit of cage push. I think his wrestling's improved. I think he even took down Sadiq. I didn't rewatch that again because I watched that so many times. I think he took him down and he took down Pineda and backpacked him. Like my boy Jarno says, Caceres going to look for a sneaky back take on the feet. I mean, he always does that. That's his best path here.
That's how he got Choi with the choke too.
Yeah, that was an opportunistic one, but that's Choi. Like, Choi is just hopeless. I mean, it's what are you going to do? Maybe a live bet, but yeah, it's a tough fight to bet, even though it's a clear dogger pass. Speaking of tough fights to bet, man, Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. The first time, I'll give you a little story. The first time these two fought, I played the under 2.5 rounds at the exact same price that the under 1.5 rounds is set at. And I remember just talking myself out of a huge bet. I was like, oh, maybe Spann can sit on Smith because Smith just turtles up and he has bad takedown defense and he can just go over. Because there was a few fights, early in Spann's career when he was wrestling Henrique and he went to a decision somehow. I was like, oh, maybe that's what happens. And since then, we've just seen Spann just be a money train for under 1.5. He just finds a way to lose. And then when I watched that fight, I'm like, man, how the hell did I think there was a way that this fight went over 2.5 rounds? Essentially, Smith just kept catching him with the check left hook. And I don't understand why Smith was the favorite after that. I think this whole narrative about Smith being done is just not accurate whatsoever. Like, he might be done, but he's looked like this his whole life. If you shut him down, if you break him, he will look like he's done, right? And then he'll come back and he'll get a step down in competition and run through him. And the Walker fight, he did get shut down with the leg kicks, obviously, and Ankalaev broke his leg, and Rakic as well kicked him 3 times and he was done. He quit in there. He was saying after in interviews he felt so much weaker at light heavyweight. He wants to drop back down to middleweight. Like, he's a mental midget. Like, he's a Lionheart, but he's always looking to just give up in there. And I mean, even then, when Walker came in to finish him, he caught Walker with a big check hook, right? Which he still got it. He was still fighting back, and right, if he had the under there, that was Walker. I think he's a lot more durable than Spann, despite what people think about his chin. I think that's live here again. Is that check hook is there? He caught Walker coming in. If Spann does it, he can catch him again. They hate each other. I think that's why they rematched. So I didn't want to overthink it here. I didn't want to, scare myself out of the under. Yeah, maybe it goes over, but I just looked at the under being better than minus 200, and I just locked it in. I was like, whatever. If this is the one time that Spann somehow goes over, so be it. But I'm not going to overthink it, man. Like, both these guys have power. Smith has power. Spann is chinny. He got triangled by Krylov, and I talked myself out of playing that under, which was a better price because I thought Krylov could lay on him. And he just found a way to get triangle choked, man. So, which is live here. I could see a Devin Clark situation where Spann takes him down early, and then Smith triangle chokes him. So, I have the under. It's a volatile fight, and don't want to overthink it.
Yeah, I kind of have the same read as you. It's like I see a lot of people betting Ryan Spann, which I think is kind of shocking to me. Like, I don't get it. It's like, what has changed? Like, Spann is still a flake that's like performs one fight, doesn't perform the next. Like, you remember Spann's fight with Johnny Walker? You were talking about Anthony Smith's, but he had him dead to rights like 3 times, and then he fucking fights away to get finished by Johnny Walker. Like, it's like that type of shit makes him totally unbettable. I mean, you got to look at the unders and things like that. At least with Anthony Smith, like, when he quits, at least he can hang in there, and if the guy slows down, he'll start trying to finish him again. And he's not like a total, like, first-rounder bust type of guy, where Spann in the UFC, it's like, I guess he beat Sam Alvey by split decision, but almost all his wins in the UFC are first round finishes. And Anthony Smith usually doesn't get finished early like that. I mean, even if you whoop his ass, you usually have to do it for 15 minutes straight. So I just feel like with this type of fight, it's like you got a guy that can't take Anthony Smith's power. I mean, we already saw that he couldn't even take like one check hook. Like you said, he was getting dropped every time he got clipped. And then I feel like Smith could take Spann's power, and I do think that Smith has the higher submission upside too. Like, Spann has a good guillotine, but I don't see him really catching Smith in a guillotine, and I think Smith could submit him off his back or on top. So I agree. I think the under is a good bet for sure, and I think Smith is going to get the win again inside the distance. So I don't think Anthony Smith at dog money is a bad bet either, honestly, especially with Spann going over to Asia and all that. He missed weight quite a few times. Like, his last fight, they weighed in like 215, right? He didn't even have to cut weight because they fought like 2 times in 2 weeks or whatever. So I feel like he's going to have issues even cutting down potentially. So if he looks bad at the weigh-ins tomorrow, then I probably will put a bet on Anthony Smith. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I feel like if you like, what's his name, Span, then the 1.5 is his win condition. All right, like,
yeah,
good luck beating, especially with the cardio and stuff. He's just there's no way in which Span wins a 3-round decision over Smith. We've seen it against Alvey, and he kept eating the check hook there as well, right? Like he's just
Alvey dropped him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he's open, and he was so stupid. He kept walking into it, and I think Saif Saud was like screaming his lungs out. He was like, "Stop walking into the check hook," and he can't. That's what he does. And once he gets hit, everything goes out the window. That's why his fights are so volatile. He has no composure whatsoever. And I'm hoping the check hook comes in nice and early, so I'm not sweating the under. Hoping it's like a 30-second finish again. And yeah, I can cash it and improve the record. But whatever happens, I'm okay with losing that. I just thought it was a no-brainer bet. Skyfield Mountaineer. Span said in an interview today that he didn't know jet lag existed until they ended it.
I don't know if I believe so. Like, what was he saying after the Reyes fight? Like, that was the first time he ever tried a training camp in his life or some bullshit.
Every time he says something, it's just bullshit, man. Like, but I believe that. I think he ended up coming out and saying that it's the first time he properly did a camp. Like he said, he didn't first time he trained, and everyone's like, "Oh, Span's so good, he barely trains and he's still winning." But then he's like, no, it's the first time I did a proper training camp, which actually made it seem like he's lazy. He doesn't even do a proper training camp for these fights.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It makes perfect sense watching him fight. But yeah, all right. Let's go to the actual main event. We've had a few main events in Tafa and Passport, but this is the real main event, which actually is no better than those fights. I mean, what's the point of this fight? Max Holloway versus John. Didn't tape it and don't plan on taping it. I initially thought of playing some unders. Just because Max Holloway, Chung Sung Jong is not surviving the brutal punishment that Calvin Kattar and Brian Ortega survived. But now after his more recent fights, I'm seeing him go back to the fights with like Frankie Edgar, and he respects Jung and he asked for this fight, and it's in Korea. So I don't know. The way he fought against Brendan Allen. He goes in waves. He goes really, really aggressive, and he almost finished Qatar in under 1.5, which is crazy, nowhere near like rounds 3, 4, and 5 like usual. And Qatar's super durable. If it wasn't Herb Dean, that's probably stopped. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like now this probably does go over because there's too much respect between these guys, and yeah, pass fight all the way around. No interest in anything. In fact, the only thing I really want to do is put Max Holloway in the most squarest parlay just to pump up my winnings, because end of the day it's a lock. I don't care what anyone says, but yeah, pass fight all the way around.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm actually like I used to love Korean Zombie back in the day, like when he made his comeback to the UFC, like when he fought Bermudez, like when
he played him as a dog there.
Yeah, like fuck, man. Then he had I bet him against Yair. That was like one of my saddest losses of a bet.
Same. The most tilting loss in the fucking world.
It was like devastating loss, but I don't know, fuck, man. Like now, it's like you said, it's like how can you trust Zombie to go in there and look good against Holloway? Like he got destroyed against Volkanovski, and it's just I think it's the end of the road for Zombie. I do think like if they would have done this fight a few years ago, it would have been fun on paper because I still think Holloway probably would have dominated the fight overall. But Zombie is a really good counterpuncher, and he used to be a lot faster with the counters, and he's one of the few guys that has one-shot power at 145. Like we saw what he did to Moicano. We've seen him knock out some other guys really quick, like in 10 seconds. But I just don't think obviously it's like banking on someone to knock out Holloway is like, throwing your money in the ocean. And then now he's slower and he's not as dangerous anymore. So I just don't see a big path to victory for him. I mean, I guess I don't know. If he can take him to the ground somehow and get into a really dominant position, maybe he could find a way to finish. But I agree with the line. Like, I think it's like he's a huge underdog for a reason. And But I think what you said is actually what's going to happen. Like, I think Max is going to beat him up. I don't know if he's going to turn it up on him all the way. Like, I feel like he might let him coast to the decision because it's in Asia and he's been calling for the fight. And it's kind of like you said it's a pointless fight besides just Max wants to fight another legend and kind of add him to the resume. So I don't know if he wants to go out there and just demolish him and spark him. I don't know if that's going to be his objective, if he can win clean, like, over 25 minutes. So, but yeah, I feel like it's like clear that Max is going to win the fight. But honestly, I guess it's like, if this is going to be Zombie's last fight, hopefully it goes to decision. He loses to, one of the best featherweights of all time, and it's in Asia. So that's kind of what I hope happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's Jung also. I see some people saying maybe it's his retirement fight. I'm pretty sure it is his retirement fight, right? Because he was going to retire against Volkanovski. That's a fact. That's what his coach said. And now his coach was saying he wanted one more retirement fight, but he wasn't accepting anything. He said, I only want Max Holloway. So both these guys asked for each other, which is, weird, choosing to get the shit kicked out of you by Max in your retirement fight. And they gave him like winnable fights apparently for Korea. And he's like, nah, I only want Max Holloway. So I think they both respect each other. He goes, I've loved Max from day one. I want to fight him. So it's his retirement fight. It just screams like they're going to be so friendly to each other. Mutual respect in Korea, in his own country. Max is going to be all like respectful and not going to beat the piss out of the guy in his retirement fight. So I'm just looking at Max KO decision. It probably makes it like minus 500. Makes the line a little bit better.
They don't have these props yet, but I was thinking like if they have like the significant strikes like 100 plus, like at like minus 125, I think you could bet that like for Max, like that'll be like a lock, but I don't know what they'll put those at, because that's what they usually do. Like they'll usually, for the main events, they always usually on Bet Online, they'll put 100 strikes minus 125, but I don't know if that's going to be like what they put for this fight though.
Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll look into that. There'll be ways to play it. What last card Max fought when I was down, I chased with Max and over 1.5 rounds, same game parlay, and it got me to like almost plus money. That's why I was forcing bets, takedown bets, so I could have more money on that. on that. It's such a way to take advantage of the bookies, and I got no money on that. It's too hard to deposit. So, but Bet365 also does, same game. So if over 1.5, it's pretty generous, $1.23. You add that to Max, it's almost a minus 200, right? And you just have to be careful of Max not sparking him early.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm out here, and I live in Vegas, and William Hill and Caesars recently, they started doing that like same game. They basically have like the exact same sports book as DraftKings now. So it's like they got all those same game parlays and all that shit. So it's good.
Oh man. In another lifetime, Steve moves to Vegas and just becomes the kingpin, and I'm just betting everything, and I got multiple books, but I think I'm going to move to Europe soon. So in another lifetime, though, I can't imagine. I probably would have ended up like Johnny Bones Jones if I moved to Vegas. It's probably for the best.
Yeah, the only issue here, it's like the only shit you can bet on is American stuff, like in the casinos. Like if you want to bet on like KSW or stuff like that, you still got to bet on like Bet Online and shit. But
well, that's fine. And Bet365 also has KSW, so yeah, I'll probably just get obsessed with American regionals and shit.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So what I usually do at the end, man, I do my best bets, and the best bets are just like locks. Obviously not $1.15 locks, but lock bets that I've locked in. I give 2, and then if I don't have any, I don't force him, because recently I've been forcing him just the only 2 bets I had and they lost. If you don't want to give it because you have like a Patreon or something, that's fine. But I'll do mine, and then you just tell me. So at the moment, I mean, all I have is Errens, and which I'm not like overly chuffed about. It's only a half unit shot. And all right, so I'll play the under 1.5. So that's definitely one of my top bets on Ryan Spann. I'm putting my record on the line here. That won the 1.5 record, and so it's going to look even stupider when it goes over for the first time in ages. And the other bet I have locked in is Errens. I don't know if you know what? I'll give Michał Oleksiejczuk as a best bet, even though I haven't locked it in. So there you go. Those are my best bets, and I think they both hit. What about you, Matt?
No, yeah, I'll give you guys a couple of bets. Like I think the under on that Kinoshita and Goff fight, the under 1.5, I think that's a decent bet to play, and I already did. I bet Jarno Errens, and I bet Errens by KO. And then I think betting Armfield by KO is a decent bet too. I think that has potential to cash. So
I like that. I like that, man. I like the. I think that's a sneaky path for Armfield. Maybe round 1 KO.
Yeah.
Could be juicy. And usually, traditionally, when I bring on a sharp guest, I try bringing sharp guests always. Sometimes it doesn't always end up, but when we line up on best bets, so we're both on Errens. Hopefully, it's not mush. It usually ends up hitting. So that's good, man. Thanks for that. Yeah, thanks for jumping in, man. That was a good breakdown. What did you get there under 1.5 in the Kinoshita Goff? I considered that over the juicy under 2.5.
I got it at it was at minus 125, so it's still a minus money, but I think I like that bet. I feel like Kinoshita has a good chance to knock him out, and if he doesn't finish him in the first few minutes of the first round, we've seen Billy Goff, turn up on these guys. So I do think the under is a decent price.
My only issue is, and this is why I'm so selective with my 1.5s, is because Goff is like an attritional guy. Maybe it's like a late round 2 finish, So I'll look at some maybe rounds 1 and 2, but I'll assess it. I mean, the fact that he ran through that Israeli guy in that same round, he was rocked. He doesn't waste any time. He's just, you drop him, he gets up, and he's just like, I got to get my finish back. So as long as they don't come out, tentative, because we've seen Kinoshita tentative in Contender Series, and we've seen, maybe Goff's first fight in the UFC maybe comes tentative. But yeah, good luck to you on that bet, man. It's probably good hit.
Yeah. Thanks. Right. This was fun, man. I enjoyed the breakdown. Hopefully I can come back on and we can do some more content, bro.
Easy, man. Yeah, I wouldn't mind jumping on yours some point, just depending how busy I am. We'll see. I'll see what the big brain army says about you, and then I'll bring you back some other time. I'm always, I don't mind bringing you back, man. Maybe for some regionals, because I do think you're very good at regionals, and underrated market. UFC is so saturated these days. Like and subscribe to MMA Prediction Guru. He's been doing this for so long, man. He's got a lot of subscribers. Plug my Discord. I'm going to be upping it soon in September. Traditionally September is my best month with Contender Series, and I don't know why, but it's just every year it's a lot of units in September, and just crazy economy, so everything's going up. I got to up the prices for the Discord too, so it is what it is. You want to plug anything, my friend?
Yeah, man. Like you said, YouTube, MMA Prediction Guru, you could type that in, you'll find me. And then if you want access to, breakdowns, I do other videos and also bets for other promotions and UFC. You can go to patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru and get access to that. So, yeah, man, really appreciate everyone that does that. And hopefully we can make some money this weekend, me, you, and, everyone listening. So,
no worries, man. Thanks again, and good luck on everyone's bets. See you soon.